Welcome to another lockdown video, folks. Join me and the boy in the living room where we have set up shop with all this ML type kit. Today's video is going to be about what I carry in my ML Expedition rucksack, okay? There'll be a few top tips and such like. It's not going to be a review on individual items, just generally what I carry, okay? As usual, go and grab yourself a tasty beverage and join us in a second for the video. Hot chocolate today. It's kind of a good ML drink, isn't it? It just reminds me of camping out and about in the mountains. Nice views, stove whistling away, wind blowing through the rocks and stuff. It's a nice place to be, isn't it? I do really miss being out on the ML stuff during this lockdown period. I think I should be on one this week, but that's the way it goes. It'll still be there when all this is over, and I'm looking forward to it. There's not actually any hot chocolate in this as usual, just for the B-roll. You'll get a bit of a flavour for my take on light being right, okay? That's what I think about all this ML stuff. Only to a point though, because we've got to be comfortable, right? And we've still got to be able to operate well as an ML, okay? You've got a group out with you, they're dependent upon you when you're working. So do bear that in mind. Don't take this light stuff too far. It's really easy to get sucked into that kind of thing. There's no prizes on your ML assessment for having the lightest pack, okay? We like light packs though, because we expend less energy carrying them around and we have a nicer time and are probably happier and more cheery doing so, okay? And also, if you're burning less calories than that, it kind of just gives you more headspace to concentrate on the job in hand of being a good ML, okay? So, light is right, but just be sensible with it, okay? You'll get that theme as we go through it. Let's start with this then, as it was there anyway, a little mug full of hot drink of your choice, okay? Only take it when it's cold, don't really take that sort of stuff when it's hot personally. A water bottle of some description. These Nalgene ones are really good. I tend to take a 1 litre one, which is a bit bigger. It's clear, it's got a wide neck, so when I scoop up the water I can see if there's any green stuff floating around, all that kind of stuff. Filling up from the streams as we go, so I don't take more than 1 litre really, all right? And then, what else we got? We've got loads of stuff is the answer. Navigation type stuff, maps in front of us here, haven't we? My map of choice is at the bottom of the pile there. Harvey's 1 to 40 map. These are great. They're light because they are on waterproof paper, so they're not big, bulky, laminated things, and they've got just the right amount of information, all that we need as an ML type person to go on our journeys from A to B. Okay, so I really like those Harvey's ones. Standard for the outdoors in the UK, the OS though, they're really flipping good, aren't they? Bit bulkier. I use the laminated ones because they last a bit longer. If you're not going to use laminated, get a matte case. The Ortlieb ones are really good because they're kind of rubberized, so the compass sticks to it, doesn't slip around, and they're a really good idea, but a bit bulkier. And the other OS one is the 1 to 50. Okay, so on your assessment you have to use 2 different scales. Depends a bit upon the assessor as to what those are. Kind of a nice little idea though, if you've got a bit of money to spend on an OS subscription, I think it's about £25 for the year, you can then print out your own maps and get them laminated, laminate them yourself, and they're just, they just fit in your pocket, you can print loads off, they're great. I always carry 2 maps, right, in case one blows away or I leave one down at lunchtime on the rock and forget to pick it up or something, so I always carry 2. And I always carry 2 compasses as well, compi or compasses, I don't know, but 2 of them, whatever they're called. Nice long base plate, all that kind of jazz, all right? Bubbles can come in them, they can flip, they can get left behind again, stood on, all that kind of malarkey, so 2 of them. And a watch of some description. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is a Garmin one, it's got GPS on it and an altimeter and all that kind of stuff. Even if it's just a Casio 699 job from Argos, you need something to do your timings with, and that when you're navigating, so have a watch of some flavour. The other thing I've got is my phone with me, and on my phone is OS mapping, right? So I can use that, and also View Ranger. One of those 2 things is really worthwhile having. Can't use it on your ML assessment because we have to be able to do everything with a map and compass, but well worth having when you're actually out and about practicing or when you're working as an ML. okay. The other thing I do take with me on that front is a little battery pack, because even a new iPhone, the battery doesn't, you know, last super long when you're out for a few days, so you've got to be careful using it, but take a battery pack with you and the little lead, of course, to connect it. Other things that I take a couple of are head torches, because we will be doing some night nav on ML assessments to simulate poor visibility navigation. I take an LED Lensa SEO7, nice and bright, rechargeable battery, but you can also use normal batteries in it, and that's key for me. It's got the reactive lighting, so you look down and it dims, you look up and it brightens up. Bit of a bargain then, £50-ish. Well worth the investment, I reckon. And then I take a spare one just in case that breaks, or when the batteries die, I can then use this torch to change the batteries more easily. So I do take a second one all the time. Black diamond, that one, not quite as bright, but still really good. And then let's move on to the camping stuff, okay? So, this beast here, the tent itself, MacPack Minaret. This is like well over 2 kilos, and look at the size of it. I actually pinched this off my brother some years ago. I don't know if he knows if I've got it or not, but you know, he won't watch this video, so it doesn't matter anyway. Right, loads of space. It's a 2-person tent, bomb-proof. They stand up to some harsh weather, these ones, and loads of space for you know, yourself, one other person, or a dog, and loads of space to sort of spread your kit out. A nice place to be, but look at it, it's a monster, isn't it? It doesn't pack down much smaller than that, so I'd rather not be carrying that, but sometimes you kind of have to. The nice compromise tent I've got, that I've only used once because of this lockdown, it was good that time I did use it, and I envisage myself using this quite a lot. It's 1.4 something kilos, a Sierra Design Studio 2. You can see, middle of the road, quite small, quite light, but not at the super lightweight end of things. It's kind of 2-person just about, so it's a lot more comfortable to be in. You can sit up, you can stretch out, you can spread your kit out, there's room for him in there. I think I'm going to really like this tent, but I'll report back as to if it's got any issues and such like, who knows, that we will in time. This is, if I can carry this tent, I will carry this tent. So Nordisk Telemark 1-person tent. It is lightweight, it is 830 grams. Look how small it packs as well, with just the poles sticking out there. It doesn't take up much space. It's one of those heavy items where you can save some weight when you're out camping by getting a light tent. So do think about what you can carry, but you know, you get a lot of condensation with this tent. It flaps around, it's not that stable. There's not much space to stretch out. As soon as you're sat up, you're kind of touching the sides and stuff. So it is very much a compromise of a tent, but in nice weather, I'll be carrying it. In your tent, a sleeping mat, something to you know, keep you warm off the floor. And for me, it's a Thermarest Neo Air. These things blow up to give you like quite a lot of thickness, which makes life comfortable and smooths out those lumps and bumps in the floor. But it still packs down really small and it's really light. I don't know about you, when I first started, I used to use those Karamat kind of things that were foam about 1 centimetre thick, and they worked, yeah, and they're indestructible, but they're not that comfy compared to these. You can't kind of go back to them once you've started using these, but they could pop, so it's got a little repair kit in the bottom there just for patching it up should I need to. But actually it's lasted really well, touch wood quickly. Keeping its little dry bag, probably because I lost its original stuff stack, I guess. In the tent, I love this bit of kit. My Patagonia sleeping bag. A down one, 3 seasons, so it's warm to about 0. 830 grams, I think. It's the long one because I'm quite tall. It's just so comfy. It's even got like different material inside, so it's nice to sleep in rather than all the horrible shiny stuff on the outside. And I know this sounds a bit silly, but being bright orange, it's kind of nice in the tent to have a bit of colour. It can feel quite oppressive when you're stuck in a tent and the weather's bad outside and you've got this dark, gloomy kit inside. That just brightens the mood a bit, honestly, it does. I've got various other sleeping bags. They're all down though, so I've got super lightweight one, like less than 500 grams for like middle of the summer kind of stuff. I've got heavier ones for like winter, sort of 1.5 kilos, but warm to almost -20. Like I said, they're all down, so I have to be really careful at keeping them dry. So it goes in a dry bag, which is also within another dry bag liner in the whole rucksack. So do be careful with that, but you know, they're less grams than the equivalent synthetic ones, all right? So I think it's worth it, just be careful with them. Gonna have to do some cooking in that tent as well, right? I'm not going to be cooking any gourmet food. I don't do that at home, so I'm not going to do it in a tent. So all I've got is my little 900 milliliter pot from Outkit. It's titanium, so guess what? It's pretty light. Other than that, it's a pot. What more do you need to know? In it is a little MSR pocket rocket. These stoves are pretty small, pretty light, and they're actually quite cheap, I think. Couldn't tell you the price, but they're not expensive. Okay, it's tiny. It cooks. What more do you need to know? It gives you some flame. Brilliant. A little gas canister, right? The small one, so it takes up less space and it weighs less. Great, like that. And a little striker to get it going. Doesn't have an igniter thing on it. Works when it's wet. Takes up not much space. Winning. That's my cooking. I use dehydrated food, so I'm a big fan of the Expedition food. So those orange packets, like 800 calories of tasty food, keeps you fueled up. I do see people on assessments often, just their performance drops off when they get more and more tired and they're not looking after themselves properly in terms of eating and all that kind of stuff. So do give it some thought. It doesn't have to be those expensive dehydrated things, but think about what you can do that saves a few grams, but it's tasty, because it's got to be tasty. You've got to want to eat it, bit of motivation there. And it gives you enough fuel to be lasting for 3 days on the ML assessment expedition. Worth some thought. For breakfast, I use this stuff. I think it's Norwegian. I get it in Joe Brown's, dehydrated stuff that's like porridge and fruits. I think it's called Blar brand or something like that. They're quite nice, but they are expensive. Okay. I do have a little bag of bits which has all sorts in it, from smidge, insect repellent, sunscreen, toothbrush, toothpaste, tissue paper, headphones for drowning out the noise of flappy tents, snorers in the next tent over, a buff, some general repair stuff like gaffer tape, cord, zip ties, a spare lighter in case I lose that striker or something. Probably some other bits hidden in there, but bag of bits always comes with me, all right? Other bits that always come with us. Well, a first aid kit, right? This is one I've made up myself from what I think needs to be in it. As part of the ML stuff, you need to have done a first aid course, so you'll know what needs to go in there. It's not a first aid video. It goes in a Ziploc bag and then in another dry bag as well to make sure it doesn't get all damp and horrible and useless. A small group shelter. I say small as in pack size, 4 persons this one. It's a Summit Superlight. Other varieties are available. Some are massive though. Try and get one that's just a bit smaller and you'll be happier. Okay, it does need to come out with you on ML expeditions. That goes in there. And then what else have we got? Well, hats and gloves, depending on time of year and all that kind of stuff as to how many you'll take, but there's always something in the bottom of my rucksack. These mountain equipment ones are a bit of a bargain. Warm and dry, I like them. Sometimes you might have 1 pair, sometimes you might have 5 pairs, who knows, depends what's going on with the weather. A nice woolly hat to go with it to make sure you're staying warm. Your group might need you to take extras, depends how trustable they are. Have you seen that they've packed their hats and gloves? So you might decide to take spares just in case, right? That's up to you. But take something, just live in the bottom of the rucksack, really. Waterproofs. Well, we don't very often go out without waterproofs in the UK, do we? Especially on expeditions. I've got various weights of waterproofs, from a really lightweight Arc'teryx thing here that doesn't come out with me very often, just because we don't have that great weather where this is appropriate very often. Usually there is some inclement weather due, so I take something like this yellow thing here, is a Patagonia Cloud Ridge. It's Patagonia's own fabric, H2 No. It's a waterproof. What more do you need to know? It's got a good hood on it and it fits me well, keeps me dry. I like that a lot. Waterproof trousers, that's just a random pair I picked up. Black diamond ones. For all these things, I've got lightweight ones, heavyweight ones, medium weight ones, and I take what's appropriate for that particular expedition. Warm kit, something like this, synthetic. There's a couple of versions here of synthetic jackets. How many or what I take, it's season dependent. Nano Air, I like it, it's breathable and that, and just nice on the skin. A micro puff, that's really nice, packs down really small. I might well have something bigger than those if it's colder, like a big chunky down jacket for cutting around camp, because it gets pretty cold, doesn't it, sometimes, and you want to be staying warm and dry and happy. Remember, right, that when you're working with your group and you're camping, you can't just go and bury yourself in the tent. You've got to be out and about, chatting to people, checking everyone's all right, fixing anything that's going wrong, all those kind of things that we need to consider. Other bits that we might take, can see my sticks poking out there. I'll take a pair of these, Black Diamond Z poles, they actually go a little bit smaller than that. They can fit in the rucksack, or if they're on the outside strapped on, they don't stick up too much, so they're not getting caught on branches or on rocks when we're on this more scrambly terrain. So I really like them. Good for handing out to nervous people occasionally as well across a bit of a slope. So yeah, even if you're not going to use them, might be a consideration to take regardless. On a similar theme, a rope. Now on ML expeditions, we try very hard not to take a rope, but you might have not been quite up to the mark on the steep ground day. And remember, that steep ground day isn't just about the rope. In fact, it's more about decisions, judgments, route finding, all that kind of stuff. But if your rope work wasn't quite up to scratch, then sadly you might have to take it on the expedition. The best in the world won't be me carrying it, it will be you as the person who needs to redeem themselves. And that's a 25 metre 8mm rope. It's still quite chunky, you'd rather not carry it, wouldn't you? So, you know, it's a good incentive to really smash out that day the first time round. But as with all these things on ML, there's a chance to redeem yourself, all right? So you might have to carry that, but hopefully not. Other bits are the rucksack under there. For me, a Patagonia Ascensionist, try saying that quickly, a Patagonia Ascensionist, 35 litres. I can fit all my stuff in there, obviously not like 3 tents and all that, but all my stuff goes in there for you know, an ML assessment expedition without too much trouble. Unless it's like properly in the winter time. When I say winter time, I don't mean obviously snow and ice, because that's not appropriate to the ML scheme, but when it's like really cold and really wet, maybe I go up a size in rucksack and take all the warmer kit. And then I might take another rucksack that's upstairs. Got a Black Diamond Speed 40. It's definitely bigger than 40 litres because it fits loads of kit in. And partly it fits all the kit in, but partly it's just easier to pack, because you know what it's like when you've got cold, wet hands trying to shove things into every nook and cranny that's in there. It's quite tricky, isn't it? So make your life a bit easier in that regard. A big, you know, right, that you know what a rucksack liner is and what it does. I'm not going to talk about that, but it's a big one that goes in there. All this other stuff is in its own individual dry bags, or, you know, grouped together in dry bags to keep it all as dry as possible. Anything else I can think of? Sunglasses. Rule 1 of climbing and mountaineering in general, look cool. Rule 2, when things start to go wrong, which they will at some point, refer back to Rule 1, and that's really important. What else might I have in? I'm just trying to think if there's anything I've missed. I'll probably have my camera. I'll probably have his food and stuff like that. But I think that's about everything. No doubt I've missed something on there. So please fire away in the comments if you've noticed something really obvious that I've foolishly missed out. Likewise, put in the comments what extra things you carry, what you don't carry, any top tips that you've got, right? Go and have a look at our website, because on there is some old blogs, not that old, but old blogs that say, you know, ML assessment top tips and stuff like that. So have a browse through those. Fire away with any questions as usual. And if you've enjoyed the video, thanks very much for watching. Look how well he's been behaved. That's impressive, isn't it? Click the subscribe button, click the like button, visit our Insta page, follow us there, visit our Facebook page, follow us there. Thanks again for watching. More videos coming very soon.